When was the last time you truly enjoyed the process without obsessing over the result? Be honest with yourself for a moment. For years, I chased success like my life depended on it. I worked harder, I pushed further, I constantly fixated on the outcomes that I couldn't control. I was the person checking emails late into the night, canceling plans with my friends to work on just that one more thing, and then lying awake at night planning tomorrow's battle strategies for a war that I could never win. But here's what's crazy. The moment I stopped caring about the results was exactly when everything I wanted started to happen. I know that sounds completely backwards because we've all been taught that caring more means trying harder, and trying harder leads to better results, right? But what if that equation is fundamentally broken? And here's the wild thing about detachment. It's not about giving up at all. It's actually a secret superpower for getting more done. When I stopped obsessing over outcomes, my creativity exploded. I started seeing opportunities everywhere that my tunnel vision had missed before. Without the pressure of this must work, my mind relaxed into a state of flow. Think about a time when you were completely absorbed in something that you love, playing music, cooking, or having a deep conversation with a good friend. You weren't thinking about the outcome, were you? You were just there, present, in the moment. And it sounds like a paradox, but that's actually when you were at your best. That's detachment in action. Let me ask you something. How many times have you achieved something big only to feel that strange emptiness afterwards? You know, that now what feeling? I've felt it after promotions, or after hitting high income goals, or after buying things that I thought would make me happy. But the satisfaction always seems to fade faster than I expected. Why is that? I think it's because we've been trained to believe that happiness lies somewhere in the future. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll feel secure when I have a certain dollar amount in my savings account. Or I'll be content when I achieve this certain milestone. But here's the truth I've learned the hard way. Those goalposts, they keep moving. Hey, if I'm describing you right now, I want you to know that you are not alone. There's actually brain science that backs this up. Our minds are actually wired to adapt to new normals. What once seemed like an impossible achievement quickly becomes our baseline. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. We're constantly chasing the next hit of satisfaction, and we're never able to stay happy with what we have. When you overly fixate on a specific version of success, you actually ignore better paths that life is trying to offer you. I can't tell you how many times failed projects led me to opportunities that I never would have discovered otherwise. Your expectations create internal pressure, self-doubt, and that fear of failure. And my friends, that mixture of emotions is creativity's kryptonite. So if attachment to outcomes is the problem, what's the solution? It's actually something that seems counterintuitive at first. Surrender is the last thing we were taught to value in a world obsessed with control. But guess what happens when you surrender control? Life has this funny way of aligning you with exactly what you need. But if you're too busy white-knuckling your way towards some fixed ideal of success, you can totally miss it. Think about it. Have your most rigid plans ever worked out exactly as expected? Or did something better usually come along when you loosened your grip? My biggest breakthrough, both professionally and personally, happened when I was forced to let go of my original plan. And I'm going to be honest, in the moment, these felt like failures. But looking back, they were actually redirects. They were redirects to something better aligned with who I really am. Remember this, detachment is not about giving up. It's releasing control. It's releasing control over the things that you actually can't control anyway, like timing, other people's decisions, or specific outcomes. When you surrender, you align with opportunities you have otherwise missed. Why? Because you were too busy forcing your agenda on the universe. And here's a counterintuitive truth. You become more productive, creative, and successful by focusing on the process, not the result. I'll give you a personal example. For years, I approached creative projects with an iron grip, strict outcomes, rigid expectations, and intense pressure to perform. And the results were fine, nothing special. But then burnout forced me to try a different approach. I actually started creating without attachment to the outcome. So what I did, I gave myself permission to experiment, to play, and to follow curiosity rather than expectation. And believe it or not, that's when my work started resonating with people in a way that it never had before. So the paradox is that when I stopped trying to create something successful, I created work that actually succeeded. So if it worked for me, I know it will work for you. This awareness has the power to create major change in your life. But this begs the question, how do we actually practice it in our lives? The art of detachment is something you cultivate daily through small but powerful choices. And it all starts with recognizing when you're gripping too tightly. Instead of, I have to get this result, try saying, let's see what happens. Can you feel how different that affects your body? One creates tension and the other creates space. Detachment is actually like a muscle that you build by deliberately releasing what you can't control. You set intentions rather than expectations. You get curious instead of desperate. And strangely, this mindset shift makes you more resilient and patient when things don't go according to plan. Because let's be honest, when do things ever follow our perfect timeline? Here's a few practices that's helped me live this way that I love to share with you today. Number one is meditation. Meditation has been huge for me. Just 10 minutes of watching my thoughts without attaching to them. It reminds me that I'm more than just those anxious thoughts living in my head. Nature's another powerful teacher of detachment. Spend some time just watching the clouds move, the leaves fall, or the waves crash. This will help remind you that everything is in constant flow. Journaling helps too, especially writing out your worst case scenarios. I found that when you confront your fears on paper, they often lose their power. Most of what we worry about never happens, and even if it did, we'd handle it. But perhaps the most powerful advice I can give you is simply noticing when you're gripping too tightly. That tension in your shoulders, the knot in your stomach, the racing mind, they are all your body's signals that you're attaching to a specific outcome. When you notice these sensations, take a deep breath and ask yourself, can I let go? Just a little bit. Can I trust whatever happens? I'll be okay. The calm that you're going to experience in that moment is just a taste of what living without the weight of expectations really feels like. So here's what I've learned on my journey. True success and peace doesn't come from controlling every detail of your life. It comes from trusting the flow of life itself. I've discovered that some of my finest moments weren't precisely planned. They emerged when I finally loosened my grip and trusted the journey. Because let's be honest, when you release your death grip on how things should unfold, what you do is you open yourself up to possibilities far greater than your limited imagination could have ever planned. And the irony is that by caring less about your outcomes, the more you actually create better results. By surrendering control, you're going to gain a different kind of power. The power of presence, the power of creativity, and the power of genuine fulfillment. So I'll leave you with this. What expectations are you ready to release today? And what would happen if you loosened your grip just a little? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.